p.m. I will open tonight's meeting and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 6th, 2021 Lunenburg Select Board meeting. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting has concluded, within 24 hours after the meeting has concluded. If you would like to participate online for public comment only, you can go to the Zoom meeting at webinar ID 909-174-0347. And again, this is for public comment only, not for agenda items, at which we ask that you be present. And again, if you want to join the Zoom call for public comment by phone, you can do so at 888-475-4499. And once again, the webinar ID is 909-174-0347. Do we have any public comment from the board this evening? No. I have a couple of things. First of all, I hope everybody had a great and safe 4th of July weekend and enjoyed their festivities. One rain out day on Saturday if you had things planned, but otherwise the other 2 days seem to be very good. I want to thank the police and fire departments for their annual memorial service, which was held a couple of Sundays ago. Mr. Marino and I were both present for that, and again, it was very fitting ceremony. It's always very moving. It's very moving because so many people come from, far away. We had our previous fire chief come in from, basically southern Canada or northern New York, depending on which way you look at it. So he came with his wife, so I really thanked him for coming, and other people coming who have served. So I thank everybody for that. I also, on the police side, fire side, want to thank them for the cookout that they had at the Eagle House. That was a few weeks ago when I was on vacation on Friday. And lastly, wish a happy retirement to Officer Donald Latard, who we had his retirement ceremony last week. So that was also fun to attend. On a more somber note, I want to acknowledge the passing of a long-term resident. Emily Foster passed away on June 28th, and she had a long history with the town, from Cub Scout leader, or Cub Scout den mother, I should say. She was a longtime children's librarian for over 20 years. She was a Wheels on Meals volunteer, really worked hard at the senior center, both as a member and as a volunteer there. And of course, was also an election and poll worker for many years. I saw her many places. I wish our condolences to her friends and her family. Obviously, she had a great attitude, a great positive attitude, and was such an influence in the senior center and in the town at large. So rest in peace, Ms. Foster. Any public comment from the public? No. Announcements. I just made the announcements that I said. We have no appointments this evening. I realized that number 3 is appointments, and the one after that is interviews and appointments. But those are appointments of people, and the first one is appointments of time frame. So we do have the ratification of the town manager's appointments of seasonal lifeguards Ian Laundrie and Mason Bowser. That should be in your drive. And I'm just noticing, and I'm going to pause here for a second, to those in the booth, I don't know if you know, is somebody taking care of the Zoom meeting? Because that does not look like it's been logged in.
Heather hasn't contacted us about that. Or hasn't started the meeting.
Okay, hold on. Let's try to address that in case anybody's looking to come in. Can someone host this meeting? Can you host this meeting, she's asking?
I don't have any equipment.
Yeah, we don't have any Zoom.
I have it.
But do you have the
Oh, he
host
has his
login?
computer.
The what?
Do you have the host login?
I don't, well, it's on this, it's on the agenda, right?
No, not the host.
Oh, the host login, I don't. Then
If you want to log in, Jim, then I'll have her assign it to you. I didn't see that I got this just shortly. All right. Well, we'll try to come back to that. Okay, so the town manager's appointments of seasonal lifeguards. Does anybody have any questions about these
No.
appointments? They all have their certifications. Both people have their certifications. And I know one of them, I think Mr. Bowser was served last year as a lifeguard. I can't, and maybe Mr. Laundrie too, I'm not sure. Anyway, the town manager and potentially assistant town manager has interviewed them, so I would entertain a motion about ratifying those appointments.
I move to ratify the appointment of Ian Laundrie and Mason Bowser as seasonal lifeguards.
Okay.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So they should be ready to go. Next up, we have a review of the draft request for proposal, also in our Google Drive here, regarding the landscape architecture and engineering services for the old primary school. That was passed at town meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review this document?
Yes.
Yes.
Did anybody have any questions about the document?
The question I had when I reviewed it seemed like the scope of it, from schematic design to design development to construction documents, was too broad. I'd be surprised if we fit it in for the budget that we have. I have a landscape architect friend that I reached out to get her opinion on it, and I'm waiting to hear back. I should speak with her tomorrow, but
Okay.
I think we may need to narrow the scope a little bit
Well, maybe we'll do it in
in phases.
three parts.
Yeah, exactly.
And see how far the 50,000 will go.
Yep.
Yep, okay. That, having no experience in landscape architecture services, I wouldn't know, but I bet you're probably right.
Yeah.
Any other questions about this, anything listed here? I mean, some of this is pro forma RFP stuff. I apologize for using the word stuff during a meeting like this, but
And that's similar to my own observation. Was I thought the scope was big,
Yeah.
but I'm interested in hearing what your friend has to say.
I would, any questions or further information that anybody gets back, please send directly to the town manager
Okay.
so that she can incorporate those. And I'd like to be able to at least finalize this if everybody has their input by next week so we can get this rolling.
Okay.
Tom,
But,
sorry,
Mr. Marino?
Is she, it's not letting me go in, 'cause-
No, she hasn't started it yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if she got, I don't know when she sent me the text message, at 10 to 7, so. Because I don't have the admin login. Again, that's why I want to do the Zoom as a courtesy. That's why I want people to be here, because again, it's just, you know. When we came back in person, I didn't want more things to manage. I wanted less things to manage like it was, so. Okay, so, but everybody thought that the scope that was there, I mean, regardless of the scope for the price, the scope was accurate.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so too. Issuance of notice of trespass letters. So these are just for public record. 2 residences were notified of the fact that they had placed items in the town's right-of-way or directly on the town's property. One of them was on 38 Pierce Avenue, and since the sending of that letter, the shed that was in question has been removed, so that has been, that is completed. So that trespass letter has been followed, and they are now in compliance, or they're not in violation. The second one was on 993 Massachusetts Ave, where people have put large construction boulders on the edge of Memorial Drive, and some of those rocks are in the town's right-of-way. So as of this letter going out, we have not had compliance with that. So this request is still valid, and we are waiting for a response. In particular, that one, that is in the right-of-way is important because it prevents, plowing, although now this is not the time of year for plowing, but we have to think ahead. But plowing and emergency parking, so that's why they are not in compliance. They need to be moved behind the right-of-way.
And this is right across from the senior center, where we had surveyed last year.
Yes, that is, I believe, correct.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Last year, we had talked about a property on Townsend Harbor Road that had some property issues as well. Maybe it was earlier this year.
Yes.
And we're going to get a survey. Have they moved forward on a survey on that
I
property?
think they're still, I don't think it's done. I think they were waiting for our approval, which I can't recall. I know it was asked, and I know it was asked informally. I don't know if we've ever taken it up officially and given them an answer. So that's still pending. Mm-hmm. And I think for my sake, I think we want to do a survey because there's big questions about whether what we're saying is accurate or not.
And as I recall, I thought that we were waiting for conservation to come back to us after talking with the owner.
They did, and they've asked informally. They say this is not going to get resolved without a site survey, and they don't have budget to do that. They have to get approval from us. So I don't know that it's officially been asked. I know it's unofficially been asked. So I'll touch base with the conservation chair and ask if that's coming or not.
Okay.
But as we speak right now, there has been no resolution to that issue.
Thank you.
Okay. The next thing is a discussion of notice from Mass Housing on a 40B site approval application from Pond View Commons LLC. So this letter came to us, miraculously it came to us in the future of July 29th, 2021, but I think it was June 29th, 2021. For the record, I'm just going to read the letter into the record because it's short enough. The Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency, Mass Housing, is currently reviewing an application for site approval submitted by Pond View Commons LLC, the applicant. The proposed development will consist of 200 units of rental housing on 18.5 acres of land located at 318, 390, and 400 Howard Street in Lunenburg, Mass. The site approval process is offered to project sponsors who intend to apply for a comprehensive permit under Chapter 40B. Mass Housing's review involves an evaluation of the site, the design concept, the financial feasibility of the proposal, and the appropriateness of the proposal in relation to local housing needs and strategies. As part of our review, we are soliciting comments from local community, and we would appreciate your input.
This meeting is being recorded.
You also may wish to include in your response issues or concerns raised by other local boards, officials, or other interested parties. Pursuant to the new Mass General Laws, Chapter 40B regulations, under 760 CMR 56.00, your comments may include information regarding municipal actions previously taken to meet affordable housing needs, such as inclusionary zoning. Can we stop the reverb, please?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Multifamily districts adopted under General Law, Chapter 40A, and overlay districts adopted under General Law, Chapter 40R. Your comments will be considered as part of our review. We have been informed by the applicant that the town has received a copy of the application and site plans for Pondview Commons. Please inform us of any issues that have been raised or anticipated in the town's review of this application. We request that you submit your comments to this office by Friday, July 30th, 2021, so we may process this application in a timely manner. During the course of its review, Mass Housing will conduct a site visit, which local boards, as defined in 760 CMR 56.02, may attend. The site visit for Pondview Commons has been tentatively scheduled for Thursday, July 8th at 1 p.m. Please notify me promptly if any representatives of your office or if other local boards plan to attend the scheduled site visit. Please note that if and when an application is submitted for a comprehensive permit, assistance is available to the Zoning Board of Appeals to review the permit application. The Massachusetts Housing Partnership, MHP, Chapter 40B Technical Assistance Program administers grants to municipalities for up to $15,000 to engage qualified third-party consultants to work with the town's ZBA in reviewing the Chapter 40B proposal. For more information about MHP's Technical Assistance Grant, visit MHP's website at www.mhp.net/40B or email MHP at kbosse@mhp.net. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me at mbusby, B-U-S-B-Y, @masshousing. Thank you for your assistance. Sincerely, Michael Busby, Relationship Manager. Since the receipt of this message, the site visit, because it came in late during time of a holiday week and other people's vacation, we have been able to reschedule that for July 28th or 9th. The board will hear about that, which date is determined. And as a result, the extension date, instead of Friday, July 30th, will be 2 weeks out from that. So middle of August. For those who don't know this property is being talked about for development for some time. Kevin O'Brien is the developer there. Most recently, he has applied to the Water District to extend the Water District to include the properties, and also offered to pay for a 3-mile extension of the water line. That was denied at a water meeting, annual meeting, and a special meeting. Then he appealed to the Lunenburg Water District Commissioners directly for a special program where he would house a water company, like he would basically form a water distribution company for the one property that's in the district. That was also denied, and this is subsequent to that. He also currently has a permit from the planning board to build 120 homes there already. So he is changing this strategy for reasons unknown to us at the time. For those who don't know, 40B means that a builder can waive zoning regulations if 25% of the housing units that they're going to build are deemed and deeded as low-income housing. That means meeting a threshold of median income below, I think it's 80% or 75% of the average in the area. And these need to be deeded like in perpetuity. So if you do that, then they'll consider it and you get to waive a lot of zoning. So anyway, we'll be hearing that. This is a big to-do up there. And if it does come through that there is actually a comprehensive permit and there's no doubt in my mind that will be coming. That gets heard by the Zoning Board of Appeals, only the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, but everybody else can place input into the record, Planning Board, Water District, Conservation, anybody, Board of Health, everybody can weigh in on this as well as the Board of Selectmen. Any questions about that?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Sure.
One of the concerns that came about during the previous plan to develop those 120 sites was water, as you just discussed. And it seems that I imagine that the developer must believe that the comprehensive permit process, which usually puts all boards and committees under one umbrella, being the Zoning Board of Appeals, that he must be assuming that the Zoning Board of Appeals will be able to act also over the water district, which for our purposes is a separate entity from the town. I know that when I spoke to the town manager about this, we were looking to get a legal opinion about whether or not Zoning Board of Appeals could oversee the water district, being that it's a separate entity from the town. Do you know if we've received that opinion yet?
We did not get a written opinion, but we did get a verbal opinion that yes, they do have jurisdiction over certain rulings and zonings of that district. This was new to me because I brought up the same issue, and I don't want to use tonight to litigate against or, provide editorial information about that. But the answer is yes.
Okay.
The real question is to what extent. I mean, that's really going to be what we'll talk about. Now, town manager and I are organizing, and once we know the date, we'll go to all the boards and all the chairs, so anybody can come on this, everybody in the town who wants to, from a town government point of view. Like, this is not open to the public. We can't have 500 people go to this site walk. But all the boards and commissions and committees who have some say in it will be invited. And at that point, we'll review the whole project and ask any questions we want at that point.
Okay.
And of course, town council will be fully engaged during this process.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, in an attempt to turn back time back to more normal times, the next item is to rescind the vote to authorize the chairman to sign warrants on behalf of the board. Since we are meeting in person and I have warrants here, there's no reason for me to be the sole signature, or the signory on these. Signatory, thank you. I knew I'd butcher that, but thank you. So it's signatory on these, so I would entertain a motion of rescinding that vote and going back to us announcing these and signing these in an in-person meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have a modification to the second. So I'm also authorized to sign in your absence. So I think it may be necessary to withdraw the authorization for both the chair and vice chair.
Would you agree to that as a motion
Yes.
and as a second?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is, and seconded, to rescind the vote to authorize the chairman or the vice chairman instead of in the chairman, in the chairman's absence, to sign warrants on behalf of the board. Any further comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Then we have approval of minutes of June 15th and June 22nd. Has everybody read those? And are there any changes? Okay. Let's do them individually, because not all of us, I wasn't there at the second one, so I'll entertain a motion on the minutes of June 15th.
Move to approve the minutes of June 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. And then I'll entertain a motion of June 22nd, 2021, the minutes of that date.
I move to approve the minutes of June 22nd, 2021 as submitted, as presented.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain because I was not at the meeting. I will send these down. Whoops. And having just rescinded the vote on 4, we get to announce the warrants here. So we have, why do we only have 2 warrants here?
Usually they put the ones you've already signed.
Yes, I think that is,
Yeah, because I think I signed 2 of them.
okay, we'll have to. All right, let's just announce them then. So, dated June 24th, there was dated June 22nd, an accounts payable warrant was signed in the amount of $452,078.54. June 24th, dated June 24th, 2021, there was a payroll warrant in the amount of $971,042.08. There was another payroll warrant dated June 16th, 2021, in the amount of $48,131.46. Another payroll warrant dated June 25th, in the amount of $247,947. A payroll deduction warrant dated June 23rd, in the amount of $23,883.66. Another payroll deduction warrant dated June 24th, 2021, in the amount of $202,252.62. And finally, a fiscal year 22 accounts payable warrant dated July 1st, 2021, in the amount of $1,650,317.81. Those were already signed. Tonight's are payroll deduction warrant in the amount of $25,419.61. And a payroll warrant in the amount of $725,102.11. Okay, any action items from the group? Hearing none. Any committee reports? Oh, I doubt there probably would be at this time.
I actually do have
Oh,
one.
good. Okay, Mr. Franco.
Economic Development Committee met Thursday, June 24th, and, it's fairly newly formed, so we discussed a draft of a survey to be sent to business owners for obtaining feedback on their experiences opening businesses in Lunenburg. What were the difficulties they experienced, what went well or easily, et cetera. And the idea is to, figure out how we can improve and make it a smoother and more friendly process, or as friendly as it can be. One member of the committee shared a Ashburnham business guide, which is sort of I think it's a 28-page booklet that sort of tells somebody who's thinking of opening a business all the committees, boards, departments they may have to visit, and what the step-by-step processes are, even by business type. So I thought that was a really nice contribution to the meeting, and maybe we ought to think about doing something like that here. So that's it.
Excellent. That was the first, was that the second meeting? Because the first one was just the introduction. So that's the first meeting you've had since you've been elected, right?
Correct. Yes, it was rescheduled because there was a snafu with the original meeting time, so it got rescheduled.
Excellent. Any questions or any other committee reports?
The only other is TCP Design Committee. Their next meeting is scheduled for July the 28th. We were looking to have one this week, but the next one is 28th, 5:30 p.m.
Okay. I will say, as a follow-up to the capital planning, one of the last things we did at the end of right after town meeting, after we did the work for town meeting. We talked about changing criteria, some of the criteria like threshold limits of purchases that would require the capital planning committee. And that was approved by the capital planning committee to submit to the finance committee. The finance committee in one of their previous meetings has approved it. So we are going to be putting that on the capital planning committees. Once it goes there, it's got to be finalized by us so that it's adopted as the new policy. So in the next couple of, either next meeting or the meeting after, we'll talk about that. It's a quick change because it's just an amount change. Okay, old business. So review and vote on select board goals. So in reviewing our meeting of June 15th, we talked about our goals, and I was charged with writing some things, but there were some things that people were going to submit to me from this board, and one of the items also involved, so let me just go over what the goals were. So we're going to keep some of the remaining pieces of the previous year's goals about the old primary school. Mr. Jeffries was going to submit something that he wanted to regarding involvement with the APDC, I believe. So if you would do that this week. And so that's pretty straightforward. I will rework that. The senior property tax abatement goal was something that the town manager has one of her goals, and we talked about dovetailing the two goals so we know what each one is going to be doing, because if we do it out of step, it obviously is going to hinder and not help the process. So I will speak with her. She's on vacation this week, but I'll try to get her on vacation, even though I hate to do that, just so I can get that completed. And then the third goal was really just changing our previous goal, the goal number 3 from last year about volunteerism, and changing that from a goal to writing a policy about how we can encourage and entice more people to come and join town government. Is that what everybody remembered?
Yep.
So if you have anything on those 3 that you want me to include, if you can get them to me by Friday or Saturday at the latest, that'd be great. And then we can vote on them. Obviously, this is the first meeting of the new fiscal year, so we're not like behind anything, but I'd like to do it next year. That would be the earliest we've ever adopted goals, so at least in recent history. So there was a lot going on last year that changed that. So okay, the pay-as-you-throw bag fee and proposed increase for FY22. Now, this was discussed a little bit at the meeting that you chaired, Mr. Jeffries, on the 22nd of June. And this is just a follow-up to that. So we have the pay-as-you-throw bag program letter, and I have some information from the town manager that she emailed for this meeting. I don't think she got it up on the, I don't think
it's
she
in
got
here
it
as
up
a
on the Google
photo.
Drive. Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's not populating.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah.
You just see the bottom totals.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll read what she wrote here. So, into the record for the, and basically it has to do with, so as a point of information about the pay-as-you-throw bags, if the board were to decide not to offer the bag relief program that has been discussed, which, by the way, that relief program, my understanding is one roll of small bags per person who's over the age of 60 in Lunenburg. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if we were not recommending that, then there would be a 15% increase in the bag prices. With it, it would be a 30% increase in the bag prices to cover the difference of the cost. Based on estimates for cases of bags to be sold for FY22, a 15% increase would still be a deficit in FY22, but we would be utilizing the surplus of funds that we were closing out due to increased sales in FY21 to cover the deficit. At this rate, the surplus would be able to offset any deficits for the next few years. And then that image that you have is included in the email. You all have received the email, not just me, and that illustration is there, talking about a number of cases, basically reviewing the sales over the past, the estimate for this year for the bags, both in small bags, large bags, and extra large bags. So the per bag current would be, go from $1.40 per small bag to $1.61. And the large bags would go from $2.85 per bag to $3.28. And the extra large bags would go from $4.36 to $5 a bag.
And that's with the 15%.
No, that's, I believe, with the,
Yeah, that's the 15%.
that's the 15%.
Correct.
Because we have different totals for the 32.
Which one did she give here? Hold on. Yeah, that's 15%, yeah. So that would be, so those costs, instead of it going up 21 cents a bag for the small bags, it would go up to 41 cents a bag would be the double. And instead of 43 cents a bag, they would go up to 86 cents a bag for the large bags and $1.30 for the extra large bags.
Yep.
So once we decide what we want as a board, then she will take the appropriate action and put whatever percentage into, plug it into FY '22, and then work with the bag companies when we put in a new order, which I think is going to come probably either the end of this month or the very beginning of next month, I understand. So without rehashing, I mean, just so people know, so I know, I mean, or refresh everybody's position on this program.
Yeah, my position is that I support, efforts to help minimize the cost to seniors. I do know, and I have the numbers here in front of me, that the, current bags are, if we look at the large bags, I tend to buy large bags. So current large bags are $2.85 roughly per bag. And when they go up 15%, that's going to go up to $3.28 per bag. If it goes up 30%, it's going to go to $3.71 per bag. So currently that roll that costs $14 will either cost $16.39 or $18.53. From my perspective, when I look at what, as far as the value on the average home, I can speak for what I go through at my own house. I go through one large Lunenburg trash bag every other week. Now, I've talked to a friend of mine who has two kids, and said that they go through one small bag every day. And that they also said that they probably could do a better job recycling, and that it would be a little less. I do know that there's going to be some impact on everyone. My main concern is twofold. We're weighing, can seniors absorb a 15% increase in bags? We're not talking about a lot of money, but while everything else is going up, that's another thing that's going up. Private service of hauling your trash away is $50, $60 a month. It still puts you way below that. Or do we want to pass along a 32% bag increase to most people and then offer to seniors, one small roll of 10 bags a year? I'm in favor of the 32% increase. I do believe that I know it's a lot of money, but I know that, those of us who are working, who aren't depending on Social Security, other fixed sources of income, that when everything around you starts going up, it has a disproportionate impact. And a couple of bucks is not going to impact me the same way that I, know that a couple of bucks impacts people in the fixed income.
So I want to add just one logistic into the mix. We're talking about providing seniors over 60 with one 10-count roll of small bags,
Correct.
which if we go up to 30%, we're talking about somewhere in the $18 and 18 and a quarter range. Everything they use above that, they're going to have to buy at the 30% range increase. So the answer is, at the end of the year, if we ask them what their usage is, are we really saving them money? I guess that's the real question. How many bags do you have to buy to offset the fact that you're getting $18 up front? How much of those 30% do they use? And we should do some calculation, because on its face, it looks like a benefit, but is it really a benefit? So I think we should find that out. Just do that dynamic. We should ask some of the seniors how much you just gave, how your household. My household is very similar to yours with 2 people. We have one large bag every other week. Maybe it's worth it for the seniors. Maybe the small bags, they don't throw out a lot. I don't know, but I think we should owe it to at least try to get that information. And we would get that information by anybody listening here. If you want to share with us how many bags you go through in what period, that would be helpful for us to make a calculation. So for all the seniors out there who would benefit from this program, if you could tell us what just in an email to the Board of Selectmen or to the town manager, or even tell the Council on Aging Director what your usage is, that will allow us to calculate what the benefit would be of this program. Does that make sense to everybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement.
I guess the one caveat I would say is, for me, I'd want the benefit to go to the people who are most in need. And while I agree there are many, many seniors in our town who are in need, who are on a fixed income, as you said previously, I guess it worries me is that, instead of giving everyone who's over 61 bag, maybe we put another stipulation in it. If your fixed income is below X a month, you're eligible for a roll or whatnot. And then that way, if fewer people take them who are eligible, maybe they get a second roll during the year if they needed something like that.
I'm with you, Mr. Dwyer. I also agree. I mean, just for point of reference, if this program would go through, my wife would get a free roll. I don't need the benefit of having the free roll. It would be nice, but I don't need it. And I think going to the people who would be affected by the increase is exactly the people we should be targeting.
I'm
sorry, Mr. Jeffries.
I was interrupting. I think it's hard to do that as far as the administration of it
Right.
goes.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And I reached out to a couple of seniors about this, and a few of them said, "Look, I make enough money; it's not going to matter to me. I'm not going to go get the discounted bags. I wouldn't do that." Another person said, "Hey, I have properties that have dumpsters. That's where I get rid of my trash anyway. I wouldn't take advantage of it if it was offered." I think that there's a certain level of, if they're offering free donuts, I mean, are you always going to go get a free donut? Like, not everyone eats donuts, right? Sure. And not everyone wants to, and maybe free donuts is a bad example, but most people understanding that the money's coming from somewhere, that if you don't need something and you understand it's being set up for people in need, I trust that most people won't take advantage, especially not people who are in the senior category where most of their friends are seniors, that if they know that the service is there for others who are more needy, that they would understand that and not just take the bags because they can get them.
I don't disagree with your logic, but it doesn't change the fact that if we go with the program, in order to cover, because we're not sure how many people are going to participate, we still got to raise the prices 30%. So we're affecting the cost of people. Now, if you have 2 or 3 kids and you have a lot more trash than I do, or you do, because again, as 2 adults living and we recycle just about everything, you could be really impacting the cost of trash for them, and the town may wind up with more of a surplus because people may, like you just said, people may not take advantage of it. I guess we could lower the cost at that point, but the real question is, do you want to raise it with the cost of lowering it later? I mean, I don't know. It's a difficult position.
To me, I like the idea this is a pilot program. I think something like this, let's try it, see how it works out. And if Mr. Jeffries is correct in his assumption that the people who need it are going to use it and the people who don't need it aren't, and we see that in its application, then great. Maybe it's something we want to keep up. So I'm willing to try it.
Okay. Well, with that, if we pass it with that, being very, very honest that it's a pilot program and we don't know how this is going to play out, that it may not continue if it shifts the cost too greatly on other people, then we might not do it. As if we do that, I'm willing to do it too. I still want to hear from seniors about that we're not costing them money by raising things and giving them something for free on one hand and taking back that money on the other hand.
I think one other part of the puzzle about this bag increase is that we're looking at the bag increase regardless, but as far as how we're at these percentages, it's about how we're using the surplus and how we're spending the $50,000 that's in the account for surplus, that if you use it now to offset the bags, it results in a decrease right now in bags. But my understanding is we still are going to be out of that money next year and we'll be looking at another bag increase. So we're going to get to 30% regardless. And I think the other part of it this year was, my understanding was that it would be like a trial because it's only could be funded for 1 year. And that then you'd be looking at next year, if you want to continue it, then it would be subsidized by everyone else. There still would be a bag increase, but it wouldn't be as substantial based on the data we get from this year.
I think from the email I just read, the town manager has built in a couple of years, not just the surplus is not just going to cover this year, because the projections for FY22 for the bags would result in, again, if we go back to 2019 numbers, not 20 if we go to fiscal 20 numbers, not last year's during the pandemic where everybody was home and so generated a lot more trash, that she's used those numbers with thinking that the surplus would decrease over time, but it won't, like, we're not going to use it all up in one shot here. So, but yes, I mean, as long as we do it as a pilot, I'm fine with it. So let's put it on the agenda for next week, give people a chance, and give the general public a chance, now that you've heard us discuss the program, if anybody has any feelings one way or another about supporting it or not supporting it, and other ways that we can improve it, or if you love it or if you hate it, please let us know.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add a
Mr.
point
Franco.
here. Yeah, your point is one that, very legitimate, and I don't know why I also didn't think of it, but yes, is it going to cost them more? But at the last meeting at which we talked about this, I asked, we were looking at a 15% increase regardless, even if this plan never went through. And I asked if other bag purchasers would be subsidizing this, or this would be covered mostly by surplus, or would this be covered by that surplus funds? And the town manager's response, in fairness, she didn't have the numbers in front of her, were that was not entirely. So I kind of thought it would be close. I didn't think it would be a 15 versus a 30% increase. So, it's still swirling around for me a little bit, but we've bought some time in the sense that let's hear back from those seniors. I want the answer to that question as well.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Any other points on this? We have enough data. I think we just need to hear from the public on that. Okay, and look at this. Upcoming meeting. So we have next week's meeting on the 13th, and then why do we have the 19th and not the 20th? That looks like a mistake. The 19th is a Monday.
Yeah.
So, unless there's some meeting that I'm unaware of.
No, that's going to be
Okay,
a
I think
mistake.
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah.
So I will be out that week of the 20th, so the board can decide if you would like to postpone the meeting and swap our week off. I don't know what anybody else's vacation schedule is, or it's not necessary, obviously, I just put it out there, so. But we can decide that next week, if you'd like, unless somebody wants to decide that now.
I don't have any objection to going forward on the 20th.
Neither do I.
Okay,
No, I'm good with that as well.
good, all right. So, the 20th it is. Is the meeting going, Jim, the Zoom meeting?
Mhm.
Is there anybody on it?
One person.
Any public comment from the public? Are they looking to raise their hand or something?
I don't see it.
Okay. Any public comment from the board? Okay, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session and to adjourn after exiting executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21, Paragraph 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or contract negotiations with union personnel, and this is about the town manager contract.
So moved.
Second.
As a roll call vote, Mr. Marino,
Aye.
Mr. Dwyer,
Aye.
Mr. Franco,
Aye.
Mr. Jeffries.
Aye.
And an aye for me. Good night, everyone. We will see you next week. Good night.